The biggest offseason signing for the Orlando Magic was a backup point guard. I'll go over why likely the smallest guy on the court is going to have an outsized importance for the Orlando Magic this upcoming season. Let's do a little bit of scouting with a player profile on Tyus Jones. This is the Orlando Magic Nation, your source for all things Orlando Magic on YouTube. For Magic fans, by a Magic fan. I'm Edwin Valentine, and I want to thank you very much for clicking on this video and spending a little bit of time talking Magic with me. You got to do the normal YouTube stuff. So hit that like button, drop a comment below, and click subscribe so you don't miss any of the content that I produce. The way these player profiles are broken down is I basically treat them as if I were scouting the player. So we have a little bit of film, we go over their stats, and we have a little bit of intel on them. So you kind of get to know who they are a little bit when you're bringing them into your system. So let's start off with a little bit of intel for Tyus Jones. Tyus Jones, he plays point guard. He shoots with his right hand predominantly. He's 6'1" and weighs 196 pounds. He was born in Burnsville, Minnesota on May 10th, 1996. He went to Duke for his 1 year of university in the 2014-2015 season. In his 1 year at Duke, they won the championship and he was named the most outstanding player in the Final Four. In 39 games that season, he scored 11.8 points per game, 3.5 rebounds a game, and 5.6 assists, while shooting 41% from the field and 38% from three. With the 24th pick in the 2015 draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers drafted Tyus Jones. Then he was traded off to Minnesota. So he spent the first 4 years of his career in Minnesota playing as a backup. In his 274 games, he started only 34 games. As you see, he didn't play many minutes, so only 17.7 minutes per game, but he had 5 points, 1.5 rebounds, 3.3 assists. So the first 4 years of his career, he really didn't gain any traction with Minnesota. So he was very much an end of the bench kind of guy. He played a bit in the G League. He really wasn't someone that was a valued asset for Minnesota. So much so that as a restricted free agent, he was made a qualifying offer and Minnesota didn't match the offer. So that qualifying offer was made by the Memphis Grizzlies. So in his 4 years as a Grizzly, he played in 288 games with only 60 starts. So again, primarily off the bench, played 20.6 minutes. So he played a lot more. In his 4 seasons there, 2 out of them, he ranked in the top 11 in voting for the Sixth Man of the Year award. So he played very, very well. And we'll talk about what his superpower is really, but ultimately just know that he is a valued asset right off the bench for Memphis right as they were starting to be on the come up. He scored 8.3 points per game, about 2 rebounds and 4.5 assists and zero point 0.8 turnovers. So that's obvious. That's going to be a tell on what his superpower is. So after the 4 years in Memphis, he was traded to the Washington Wizards. Now, the positive about this trade is he would be able to start instead of coming off the bench. This would allow him to develop a bit more and show a bit more of his versatility because at that point he was going into the last season of his contract and he wanted to sign a big deal. In his 66 games, he scored 12 points, grabbed around 3 rebounds, and had 7 assists and only 1 turnover per game in his 1 season with Washington. So after that season, he was really looking for a payday. Obviously, just like anybody, he had come off a contract where he was making 14, $15 million a year. And for him, he wanted to be compensated fairly. After the free agency period, nothing really came about. So he ended up signing a 1 year deal with Phoenix. And in his 1 season with Phoenix, he started 58 out of 81 games, scored about 10 points, had about 2 rebounds, and 5.3 assists per game on 1.1 turnover per game. His last season was a bit of a roller coaster in some respect. Phoenix had 3 big salaries on their team with KD, Booker, and Beal. So they were trying to fill in the rest of the roster on minimums. And because no other deals came about, Tyus ended up taking the 1 year deal for basically the vet minimum to be on that team, hoping to rebuild his value over the course of the season. Now, the season started off where he was the starter for the season. And then, as we all know, the rest of their season was pretty much a train wreck. Ultimately, he started to come off the bench by the end of the season. And starting the offseason, he was looking for another opportunity, not necessarily to start, but to be at least an important cog in a new team. And that's when the Orlando Magic signed him this offseason to a 1 year, $7 million contract. So he ended up getting a pay increase for his 1 year in Phoenix. So in that way, it was kind of a good thing, but he's still making less than what he was at the end of his time in Washington. So I'm sure he's going to look to come in and help the Magic and hopefully add even more value to his stock so that next season, if he's not with the Magic, then he'll be able to sign for a good deal with another team. Now, on the Magic, he's not going to start likely. I contend that he probably should start, but we'll go over that a little bit later on. That he's going to come off the bench. I understand him wanting to start and wanting to build his value back up as a starter because that's obviously where most of the money is. Most of the time, the starters are who make the most money. I contend that really they should be the closers should be the ones really to make the money. Or if he were to come off the bench, but he was one of our crunch time guys, then I think that's a more important role than him starting and then sitting on the bench during crunch time. So for me, that's more important. But that's how I feel about the game in that respect. So that's a little bit about Tyus prior to his arrival here. Had a really successful college career in the 1 year he was there, and since then he's been kind of a journeyman back up at this point. So he's going to be with us at least this upcoming year. Hopefully, he's willing to take maybe a little bit less to stay with the team since Orlando's going to be so expensive moving forward. But we shall see what the year has in store for us. But for now, he is on our team. So now we're going to go through some of his stats. Now, it was kind of odd for me to see some of the stats that he has because of the analysis I've done on three of our players so far and a few other ones that are coming up. That to see such glowing offensive numbers, especially after the year we had offensively last year, it was kind of jarring actually. So to look at his traditional stats, nothing really jumps out in that respect when you look at his traditional stats. For the first row there is actually per game stats. And then the second row is per 100 possessions, because that's the way the NBA coaches and staff really look at the stats at per possession, per 100 possessions, as opposed to per game. So in his 81 games last year, again, 10.2 points. He shot 41.4% from three. So that's another one of the superpowers that we're hoping makes its way with him to Orlando. The 89% from the free throw line doesn't get to the free throw line very much, but again, 2 rebounds, 5.3 assists, 1.1 turnovers, almost a steal a game as well. So it's not that he's going to be a huge liability on the defensive end. He is obviously a smaller framed individual, small in stature and height as well as in frame. But as you'll see in some of the film study, that he is opportunistic when it comes to getting into the passing lanes, picking the people's pockets. So maybe he might get bullied a bit, especially on playoff time when we get to that. But you'll see that he has more gumption than some of the other smaller framed guards in the NBA. Some of the advanced splits on here, we look at more of the offensive rating and the defensive rating. So last year, the defensive rating while he was on the court for Phoenix was 116.1, and the offensive rating was 113.6. So there was a net rating of negative 2.5. Now that's one of those things that you look at and you're like, oh, that's not great. Those aren't individual stats. Those are stats as a team. So when he was on when he was on the court, they were minus 2.5. Now that there's many reasons for that. That obviously who else was playing with him? Were they good defenders? So there's a lot of that. The same thing with you see a lot of the Magic players with the negative net ratings as well, and that was mostly due to the offensive struggles that we had. The assist to turnover ratio is a 4.71. That's a bit low for him, actually. His biggest superpower, I would say, is his assist to turnover ratios. He's had several years in which he had 7 assists to per turnover. So 7 assists per turnover is incredible, and it's an NBA record actually. He has a few NBA records, topping himself a couple times there. The rest of it is just advanced stats that we're not gonna necessarily focus on. The last part there is from the website Cleaning the Glass. So they basically lump players into 5 categories: point guard, uh, combo guard, wing, forward, and big. So obviously, him being so small, he's not playing shooting guard. He's not playing small forward. So he's definitely a point. The colors that you see there are the percentile of other point guards. So if you look at his usage, he had a usage of 18.6%, and that puts him in the 25th percentile of all point guards. That's how that works. The PSA is point per shot attempt, and he had 116.8 points per shot attempt, and that put him in the 69th percentile. Assist percentage, he was in the 54th percentile with 27.6%. Assist to usage ratio, he's at the 85th percentile with 1.49, and a turnover percent, he's at the 83rd percentile with a 10.1% turnover rate. Some other stats that we could look at is the team efficiency in 4 factors. If you've seen some of my other player profiles, you'll know what this is. But for those who don't know, basketball stats, there's could be a lot of them, and especially when you get deep into the analytics, you see things called LeBron and Carmelo's and all these different stats that people throw out there. Basketball ultimately is a simple game when it comes to statistics. Obviously, it's difficult to play. You have to be very tall, have good hand eye coordination, all of that. But when you look at the granular stats, it's like what kind of shots are you getting? Are you turning the ball over? Are you rebounding? And are you getting to the free throw line? That's really those 4 factors. And that's why this chunk of stats is called the 4 factors. Obviously, it's 8 factors because you're looking at it on the offensive and defensive end, but still, that's what this section is showing you here. You see, he played 2,163 minutes, and you see the differential there is between the points per 100 possessions. So on offense, they had 115.3 points per 100 possessions, and on defense, they gave up 117.7 points per 100 possessions. So if you do the math there, it's about 2.5. Obviously, I'm sure they rounded up there. So that's the difference. So you had a negative 2.5 offensive and offensive rating and defensive rating puts him in the 45th percentile. On offense, as you can see, when he was on the court, the offense was on the 59th percentile for point guards at 115.3. The effective field goal rate, it was in the 84th percentile at 56.6%. The turnover percentage, he was in the 61st percentile with 14.1%. Rebounding, the very low percentile of him not being a very big guy at 23.3%. And the free throw rate, he doesn't get to the line very often. Last year, they were much more of a jump shooting team with Booker, Beal, and Durant, so they didn't get to the free throw line very much. They were in the 34th percentile, or he was in the 34th percentile with 17.9 free throw rate. On defense, they gave up 117.7 points per 100 possession. That's a lot. So that's why they were in the 20. He was in the 27th percentile there. The defensive effective field goal rate was the 36th percentile. The turnover percentage was on the 15th percentile. The offensive rebounding rate, 48th percentile, and the free throw rate, 56th percentile. So in the end, you can see why they had such a bad year when you look at their offense versus defensive numbers. That's all with him on the court. If you look at the row below, then it's when it's the difference between the on and off. He's in the 63rd percentile in difference because that just shows that things were actually better with him on the court. 1.9 points per 100 possession different. So that's a positive, as you can see. And if you just look across the line there, if you look at the point per 100 possession on defense, actually, it was much lower when he was on the court. So again, he might be small, he might be slight, but the points per 100 possession actually was better when he was on the court on defense last year with the Phoenix Suns. If you look at some of the other ways he gets his points, again, you do some of the studies on what the Magic were last year, and our numbers just don't glow like this. I was able to find 5 different areas here where he's over 50 percentile on, and some of them he's way over that. So if you look at isolation, he had 1.09 points per possession, and he's in the 88th percentile. In transition, 1.18 points per possession and the 62nd percentile. Spot up shooting, 1.16 points per possession, and he had 70. He's in the 77th percentile. Cutting, 1.5 points per possession and the 87th percentile, and being off screen at 1.27 points per possession and 91st percentile. So just know this guy can score. Just know that the offense that he was in last year also lent him to be a good scorer. Now, he was the fourth option last year, right? Let's be honest. He's not Beal, he's not Booker, and he's not Durant. So, in the higher end, he's the fourth option. So, that could lead to why he had such great numbers because he's probably wide open a lot of the times. And we'll see that a bit in the film study coming up soon. But just know he's ranking high in a lot of these categories when so far what I've been looking at on the Magic, I haven't gotten to the higher end guys just yet, but looking at some of the other guys on our bench, no one has numbers in this many categories like this. So we got somebody coming in that's definitely going to help out the offense. And we're going to need it off the bench just because we're going to be without Mo for a little bit. So we definitely are going to need other people to step up, and bringing in Tyus to lead the bench is going to be incredible. Lastly, we'll talk about how he scores. So if you look at his 81 games, the percentage of field goals attempted that were two-pointers were 41%. The percentage of the field goals attempted that were three-pointers was 58.7%. So as we see, he shoots most of his points are coming from three-pointers. 60% of his points came from three-pointers last year. So that's something that we desperately need and we desperately want. Somebody who is able to shoot. This year, I believe that we're going to come back and not obviously shoot as bad as we did. I feel that that was a statistical anomaly, to be honest. Our guys across the board all shooting their career worst basically is something that isn't going to happen again. So just organically, our shooting is going to be closer to league average than all-time worsts basically. So that's already going to be a big improvement. But on top of that, to have somebody like Tyus and Desmond coming in and just knowing that they are over 40% three-point shooters, that's only going to help the team. And that's only going to definitely bring us from the bottom 10 offenses in the NBA for the first time since 2012. So very exciting on there. If you look at the shot distance and the shots at the rim, he shoots 80%. So that's obviously really good. He's pretty good at the floaters, but once you get past 16 feet, as you see, he's only shooting about 38%. Looks real bad when you see that he shoots over 40% from three. So I think that is one of those weird things that in the mid range he doesn't shoot as well as he does from 3 point land. Which guess what? Luckily, we're not going to ask you to shoot too many middies. We're really going to look for you to shoot threes, especially from the corners. So that's something that we are excited about here. If you look at his jump shot percentage overall, it's a 42%, and his layups are at 65%. So our offense is just gonna take a big leap this year. I believe just literally not only just improvement from our own guys, but bringing in Tyus for the bench and bringing in Desmond for the starting lineup, that right there is going to open up so many things for Franz and for Paolo and for Jalen. So I'm very excited for what this upcoming season has to offer for us. Now, if we're going to look through some of the video for him here, so some of the video is from last year. And then when we get to some of the passing that we can look forward to hopefully having next year, that some of that is going to be from his time at Washington, because you'll see that some of the assists when he was in Phoenix was pretty simple. You just got to pass it to KD and KD does stuff and boop, you get an assist. So I was looking for a bit more creativity and a bit more pick and roll and seeing what else he had to offer. So I break that down. So that's what I wanted to let you know. But first, we're going to go through mostly his shot chart and see what his shot portfolio has to offer, because he's not just a 3-point shooter. He definitely can take it into the paint, as we saw on layups. He shoots about 80%. And from up close, and from up close, like near the rimish, he's basically in the 60s. So that's very good, especially for somebody at 6'1". He has a pretty good ability to shoot oversize. So here we see him go through and just with his speed and his being able to be clever and maneuverability, he's able to get to the rim on guys. Oh, a fake pick and roll, kind of just a little loft, misses that one. And then here, because he's such a good jump shooter, people are going to come and they're going to close out hard. So he's going to be able to go and do these little floaters constantly here. As we see, all these are coming from the left side. So he definitely is one to be able to go shoot with his right hand on the left side. It would be great if he could shoot with his left hand from the left side, just to kind of keep the ball away from the defenders. But hey, that's not what it is. Again, as long as it goes in, I don't care. As we see, he's a lot of the time shooting it over much bigger players. And he's even in the dunker spot. You gotta love that they had the big guy passing it to the little guy in the dunker spot. So their offense was pretty creative, and we see he's wide open spacing just because of the amount of shooting they had last year. That's why he's able to have so many shots in the mid range here. And there's a lot of little floaters, a lot of little layups. He just doesn't shoot well from the mid range, but he definitely is able to get to the basket, even at his size. Amongst the trees, he's able to finish, which is a very positive thing. This floater there, this one was in crunch time, so he missed that one. But again, overall, these centers, nobody's blocking his shot in these. He misses them every so often because like everybody does, and that's nothing wrong. But see, even against Cade Cunningham, much taller player, he's able to kind of do a little hook, little sweeping layup there on that one. So here again, that one bit too high on there. But even the give and go right there against Zubac, able to get there. Smart. Well, we're going to talk about the defense later, but here's a nice little steal and just finish in transition. Again, scores in transition, scores by cutting, scores by every which way, so which is great. So these are a lot of the little layups from the right. Here's a long midi, which is again something that he doesn't shoot all that well. It was one wide open there. As you can see, he just has so much space. So hopefully him and Desmond and the improvement on the team are able to create that much space for the Magic so he can operate in this space this upcoming season. Oof, that one's a tough shot there. He misses that one. Now, threes. And even because he's so good at shooting the threes on the corner, these are going to be a lot of the straight line drives down the baseline that he's going to have at his disposal. Oop, looks like he's going to shoot. He could just throw a floater up or go right to the basket, because this is the bread and butter, especially on the left side. From the left side of the 3-point line in the corner, from the left corner, he shot 53%. 53% from three on the left side here. So people are going to come and they're going to close real quickly. Two guys came that time and he still hit it. So they're going to close real hard. So he's going to be able to just step through, hit some of those floaters, be able to get all the way to the basket, and if not, draw defenders and be able to drop it off for Mo or Goga or Jonathan Isaac or anybody there. Now, he's a 41% shooter in general, so he obviously can shoot from everywhere. We're just showing his shot portfolio. Here's a straight on three. You missed that one. He's one bit more from the right corner, still straight on pretty much. Not right corner, from the right side. There we go. Here's the right corners. Now he only shot about 43%. I think if you round it up, 43% from three on the right. So we got to keep him in the left corner because otherwise, shooting 43%, who would want that from the right corner? There we go. Another one. Did you see? I don't know if he's just because he's the fourth option. This one I left open because everyone touches the ball. So hopefully our offense is humming like that when it comes to ball movement, because that right there was just a thing of beauty, and he ends it off with a three. So hopefully the Magic are able to share the ball like that, because we were not so great at passing the ball last year. It was very ISO friendly, and especially with Paolo and Franz, and just the way the year progressed and people weren't making shots, that in the end it was just more of Paolo and Franz making it work and doing the best they could. So the next little bit here is passing. So like I mentioned, when he was in Phoenix with having three scorers, basically, it was pretty easy to rack up some of the assists. And then, so as this one, he just passed it from where it says Intuit Dome to KD, and KD did the rest. Pretty simple there. Not too difficult. Here you go. Oh, I'm gonna give it to one of the best scorers ever. Yeah, it's a nice assist. Oh, okay. I'm gonna pass it to another great scorer. Oh, there's Booker. Another three. Oh, yep. Here's one. Now that's a nice pass. Over to Royce O'Neal. Like that type of pass is something that, if you saw my video from yesterday talking about the group stage ending in the Eurobasket, is I contend that the Magic didn't hit from three for many reasons, but one of the reasons I feel is that they just didn't get the ball in their shooting pocket as many times as they would have liked, let's say. So whenever you're having to catch the ball up here, or catch the ball down here, or off to the sides, you then have to relocate the ball and then get back into the pocket to be able to shoot. When you have a true point guard like this, you saw that little skip pass that he threw. He threw it underhand with spin, and it got to Royce O'Neal, and then he just picked it up and shot it. So that's the thing, that hopefully now, having a true point guard on the team for the first time in forever, that now we are going to be able to have guys catch the ball right in their pocket and be able to just go straight up and shoot it. So here's some of his time in Washington, just because Washington was a very different set of guys, with Gafford and Poole and Kispert and other different guys. So they had offensive skills that are closer to what some of the Magic players have, because obviously KD and Book are great offensive players, and I think our guys will get there. At least some of them will get there over the course of their career, but these guys are a bit more along the line, especially with some of the guys that he's going to be playing with on the bench for the Magic. So here's a nice little pass off there to Gafford. Here, look at this bullet pass to Kuzma. He's playing against his old team there. Look at nice little pass, little underneath. So you see not a no look over to the 3 point line. Alley oop, so simple. It just, and that's the thing, right? We have ball handlers on our team, but they, like, they're thinking about it, and you can see that they're moving the ball and they're having to do so much more. This just the way they're able to catch and release. It just takes a second. It's not as fluid as you see as what he's doing here. He's just fluid with the ball. Like, he's, because he's a little guy and because he's been a point guard his whole entire life, he's just always had the ball, and that those passes would not have come from Paolo or Franz in the same way. And I think that's the thing. It's not that they couldn't get them the ball. They can obviously play make. They can obviously get people the ball. It's just with the fluidity and in the areas where only the other guy can catch it or where the guy is going to be able to just go up and shoot. So that for me is the thing. And he makes the nice simple pass, like the last pass that was there. He just went down the lane, sprayed it out to the 3 point line. Some people might argue that his numbers of the assist to turnover ratios are because he's making the simple passes and he's just not turning the ball over because he's playing safe. Give me safe all day, every day. Obviously, you want him to show some creativity and be able to see things before they happen. So for me, his no look pass to the 3 point line or his spin pass to Royce O'Neal just shows that he's seeing things before they happen. So that to me is the biggest thing that we need as a point guard, and that's something that we can see in the film here. Yeah, nice bullet pass out to the 3 point line. Again, could be the nice easy play. Nice easy play over easy three. Again, as Mosley says, singles, singles, singles. You don't have to go and do the home run play every time. Nice pick and roll. What for me, I think the nice bit, there's a nice little pick. He's against two guys here. Plumlee's gonna makes a nice roll, and dunk the ball. All I can see there is Mo Wagner. So Mo is missing Joe. Couple seasons back when Joe Ingles was on the team, there was the mojo that was happening there. Mo would just set the pick and Joe Ingles would get him the ball on the roll. So 2 seasons ago, Mo was in the 70th percentile on pick and rolls. And last year he was only the 27th percentile just because he didn't have anybody to really set him up for the pick and roll the way he had 2 seasons ago with Joe Ingles. So now slip Tyus right in there. And now we see pick and roll with Mo. It's going to be super sweet, especially with the way Tyus is able to get the ball to the roll man. There's another one. Here's a pick. Nice little roll with the left hand. Ah, pick. This one's against the Magic. Rolls. So that's obviously not the center there. That's done. Now, that could be a Tristan. That could be AB. That could be Penda. That could be anybody. I think that's the exciting part of having Tyus. We're gonna have a very young bench, as I just rattled off a rookie, a third-year player, and a second-year player. So we're gonna have a very young bench. So we are gonna need someone to man the bench. Normally with the Magic, they stagger the minutes enough that Franz would normally be the one to facilitate most of the action on the bench. I think now Franz could take a little bit more time with the first unit and just have let Tyus run the second unit because he's also going to be with AB on there and Tyus and Tristan. So there's enough ball handlers, I believe, that they don't necessarily need Franz to man the second unit, but we shall see. Again, for the regular season, in the end, in the playoffs, I can see us staggering the minutes and doing all of that. But for the regular season, we're going to need to keep fresh. We're going to travel a lot this year. Mostly the European trip is the big chunk of it, but other than that, it's just a long season. So we want to keep everybody as fresh as possible because we're going to hopefully be going deeper into the season than we've gone before. So here's another one of these pick and rolls, gets the ball to them super early for the nice dunk there. Again, up, pick and roll. It's almost like he did it. He passed it while the guy wasn't even in front of him. So it's just that fluidity and the ability to get the ball to the roll man early so that they can do what they need to with the ball. Now on defense, as we saw there, as I mentioned before, even he is about one steal per game. So at his size, we know he's gonna likely, especially in the playoffs, get picked on a bit just because he's slight and he's small. He's short and slight. So I think obviously that's something that we'll have to worry about when it comes playoff time. But in the regular season, I don't think teams are going to be trying to hunt them as much as they do in the playoffs. So I think he's going to do a really good job in our scheme. And again, you'll see that he really is good at getting in the passing lanes and making sure that he's able to kind of be around as when the ball is being dribbled from the big guys. He's kind of that scavenger at the bottom to steal the ball from the guys and poke it free like he did there from Austin. There's another one. He's going to poke it away from Anthony Davis. Nice, easy layup. Poke the ball away there. Offensive. Poke the ball away there. So he's good at coming from the weak side and just taking that ball. And here you can see, again, being a point guard, he knows what's coming a lot of the times. So he's very good at reading the passing lanes and getting in there and getting a steal. It's a nice, easy one there. And being unselfish. Could add an easy layup there. That's your point guard. That's what we want. That's what we've needed, and that's what we're gonna have this upcoming season. Just getting in passing lanes and starting the break. So hopefully we're playing a bit more up tempo and we're using the transition a bit more this year because that's going to be something that would just help us out, especially on offense. We're going to have more shooting, so we should be able to score better in the half court, but just to have someone that can jumpstart the offense, the transition game, just with a quick steal, hopefully that's going to do so much for the team. So that's a bit on Tyus Jones. So hopefully, after seeing the film and hearing a little bit about his stats, are getting even more excited for his arrival to Orlando. Already this summer, he's been working out at the facility and he's getting acclimated with the group. So I think he's going to hit the ground running. He already knows some of the guys. He knows Desmond from his time in Memphis. He knows Jalen because Jalen's also from Minnesota, so he's kind of like his big brother. So he should be able to slip right into this team and make his imprint because we've needed scoring off the bench. That was something that, especially when Mo went down last year, it really just crippled our bench just because we didn't have anybody to kind of steer it and be able to make sure that that everybody was eating basically. Franz would eat, and Franz did his best, but then also Franz got injured. So then the bench unit got really hard up for offense once Franz went down. So I think that was a key ingredient that we needed, and something that Paolo mentioned 2 summers ago or last summer. He mentioned that he was looking for a true point guard on the team. So this year, Jeff got him one. So hopefully, if everything goes well, he's going to be healthy and he doesn't have to start. I contend that I think it wouldn't hurt the Magic if he were to start and Jalen would come off the bench. Of course, I know that's an unpopular opinion just because Jalen is the heart and soul of the team, or at least the heart of the team. And I understand that. I want to kind of keep Jalen as healthy and as fresh as possible for the full long season that we have upcoming. Jalen's going to be Jalen. Jalen's going to be out there throwing his body around, doing all the wonderful things that we love about him. That worries me because then he may not be available when it really counts in the playoffs. So if he were to come off the bench, then at least it's a few more or a few less minutes of him diving around and doing all the Jalen things that if we were to have Tyus start and Jalen come off the bench and Jalen close games, again, Tyus could start but not close. I think it's more important for people to close games that would justify the amount of money that Jalen is getting paid because I know he's getting paid over $30 million now, and you can't have somebody coming off the bench that makes that much. But in Phoenix, they did it. And not saying that worked out well for them, but definitely I think Jalen would be receptive to it. And I think he would take it on as a leadership role, just as if Tyus were the one to be coming off the bench. So either way, I think we're going to do well this year, and it's going to be a great thing. If we have Tyus starting and Jalen coming off the bench, or Jalen starting and Tyus coming off the bench, I think that either way, we're going to be a much better offense because Jalen's been putting in the work. Tyus is already coming in with a wealth of knowledge and really going to teach up a lot of our young guys that are coming off the bench. And then hopefully Mo is back as soon as possible and he's back before the start of the new year. And if that's the case, then I just think that by then we're really going to be humming along with Tyus already being integrated into the team and Mo kind of just slipping in there and adding to the firepower we have off the bench. And by then, we'll likely be the number one seed in the conference. And at that point, we're going to have all the hoopla, and once the new year starts, then we're going to start having a lot more showcase games where we're going to be on Amazon, we're going to be on Peacock, we're going to be on all these other platforms. So we need to be playing our best when that time comes. And I think Tyus is going to be an integral part in all of that. So fingers crossed, everybody stays healthy. And if not, then I think Tyus will be able to slip right into the starting lineup if we needed that, or still be able to man the bench if AB were to start or somebody else were to start at the guards. So big year coming up, guys. Everybody buckle up. We're going to have a good one. So thank you again for watching this video. Do the normal YouTube things. Hit that like, share the video, hit the subscribe button. Let's get to 200 before the start of the season. That'd be ideal. Or if not, drop a comment below letting me know what you thought of the video or what you think is going to happen this year with Tyus for the Orlando Magic. Again, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you're having a great day.